My name is Graciela Vega, and I'm here at Kelly's Bookstore. Thank you for hosting the event. And we're here with Claudia Melendez Salinas with her book titled The Fighting Chance. And I wanted to ask you, what was the inspiration for the book, A Fighting Chance, Claudia?
I got inspired when in 2006 the city of Salinas was about to close the libraries and the community centers. I felt at the time as a journalist, because I worked for the Monterey Herald, that there was not an outlet for the young people to talk about how this was going to affect them. And I was very concerned about that. So I got inspired because young people were going to lose possibly their places where they hang out, where they practice. And my young protagonist, Miguel Angel, he's a boxer. He boxes at the Bread Box. He's a fictional character, but that's how I got inspired. I just felt like the youth needed to have a voice in what's happening to them at the time, this historical time in the city. And that's how I created this character, who also is dealing with, he has a girlfriend who's a rich white girl from the Monterey Peninsula, and is dealing with his mom and his family who's poor. And in spite of all that, he is a good boy, a good young man who wants to do good.
And can you give us a little synopsis of the book? You were mentioning that the young man is fighting to do well, and what is he? What are the conflicts that he's facing in his life? So, what are the pressures that young people have? Many pressures.
Right. So he is a boy growing up in Salinas who, as you know, is an agricultural town. It's very working class, and he faces the pressure that he wants to become a boxer because he wants to buy a house overlooking the ocean, so he can buy, his mom and his siblings can go live there. So he's very motivated by his family and wanting to do good for them. He also has a girlfriend and he wants to be with his girlfriend. And he also he's being distracted by a boy who is his best friend since he was a kid, who is being pulled by the gangs. And as we know, there's some gang influence in Salinas, and that's kind of like a shadow that is cast upon the city, because most of the kids in Salinas are really good kids, but there is that gang element that sometimes influences some of them, and unfortunately there's a lot of killings that happen in Salinas because of that. But Miguel Angel is a good boy who doesn't, a guy who wants to do well, and the main challenge he has is like, how is he going to do better by his family with all these pressures that he's facing as a young person, as a young man growing up and trying to become a man.
Thank you. Would it be possible for us to hear a reading, a section of your book, please?
Sure, I'm going to read. So this is a section of Miguel Angel living in his house when he comes over, or one of like the daily kinds of things he has to face when he's at home. And he has 5 siblings. He's the oldest of 6, and it's a very chaotic life, as you will see. Ana Estela, the only member of the family who took morning showers, walked into the kitchen all dressed up and ready to dress everybody else. Mari Carmen, hurry, it's getting late. Juan Carlos, Blanca, are you all ready? Miguel Angel was the oldest, but Ana Estela was the bossiest. She was only 16, but she treated everyone like she was their mom. Miguel Angel and Ana Estela had the same dad, but he left them when they were little. Their mother remarried, and Blanca Rosa was born soon afterward. When Blanca Rosa was little, Ana Estela helped changing diapers and rocking her to sleep. She also helped with Juan Carlos, Victor Manuel, and Mari Carmen. Their fathers, too, had left. Miguel Angel helped a little getting his brothers and sisters ready for school in the morning when they all came back from school and were tired, hungry, and had homework to do. Miguel Angel couldn't stay away far enough. Ana Estela would walk Juan Carlos, Victor Manuel, and Mari Carmen to the nearby elementary school, and then she would walk to her own high school. Miguel Angel would walk Blanca Rosa and Juan Carlos to the middle school, which was a bit farther, and then he would head to school himself. They all walked home by themselves in the afternoon, except for Mari Carmen, who was delivered to the gym or the house by one of the after school volunteers. Ana Estela and Miguel Angel would sometimes confide in each other how angry it made them that their mother had so many babies. If it only been the two of them, they'd say, we wouldn't need so many bunk beds. We wouldn't need to walk them all to school, feed them in the morning, or bathe them in the evening. And Estela could join the soccer team, and Miguel Angel would have more time to read before starting his day. Then they'd turn to Mari Carmen and her soft, pudgy arms, and they would feel horribly guilty. Miguel Angel usually tried to finish his homework at school before going to the gym, but one day, a particularly hectic one, he had to come home to finish an essay about the founding fathers. Reading he liked, but writing was a different animal. After 2 hours at the table, where his brothers were competing with him for space and his mother was trying to chop some vegetables, he was almost done. Mari Carmen came near Miguel Angel to ask for a hug. She tripped, spilling her chocolate milk on his essay. "Mom, look what she did!" he exploded. "She's ruined my essay." "I'm sorry, mijo," said their mother, running from the stove with a rag in her hand, immediately tackling the catastrophe. "What's the point of all this? I don't even have a place to do my homework," Miguel Angel moaned. "Why in hell did you have so many children?" The force of his mother's hand across his cheek almost made him lose his balance. "Don't talk to me that way," she said. "You brothers and sisters are children of God, just like you are. Have some respect." But if God sent children and God was supposed to be all-powerful, how come he never sent anything to feed them? Miguel Angel thought as he placed his cool hand on his glowing cheek.
Thank you. Wow. And he brings up a lot of questions. He's thinking deeply about his situation and the injustices that are surrounding him. Thank you. So I noticed that you're addressing the issues of class issues and about God, and what other messages do you have in your book that you think the young authors or young audience can get through your reading your story?
I think that the most important one for me is the issue of choices, because so Miguel Angel does live in a very difficult environment and he faces a lot of difficult situations, and I feel like all of us as human beings, there's very little we can do about a lot of things, right? We are very much creatures of our circumstance. We do not choose our parents, we don't choose the place where we're born, and that really determines a lot of who we end up becoming. But I also believe that we do have the power of making choices, and the choices that we make are very powerful and can be very powerful in determining our fate. So the message that ultimately I want young people to get from my book is the issue of choice. Young people can choose a lot of the things, and I want them to learn that there's choices they can make, and they're very important choices for themselves that will ultimately also affect their families.
Thank you so much for the interview.
Thank you, Graciela. I really appreciate it.